percent problems. So there are three types of percent problems. They could just say something like, what is 30% of 100? So they're just saying, I want to take a percent of some number, and what is that? That's the most straightforward kind. Then they could say, well, I got 16 out of 20 on a test. What percent is that? So they could ask you for the percent. And then they could say, well, I saved $30 on a dress, say, and it was 25% off. What was the original price? So in working percent problems, there's three parts. There's the percentage, there's the number you're taking the percent of, and then there's what that equals, okay? So you have a percentage of or times of some number, and it equals another number, another number equals something, okay? Well, let's do some examples and that will help. Okay, so example 7, translate and solve. So part A, what number, okay, I'll just use n, you could use x or whatever, what number is 45%? Now, let me write this out. The is was the equal sign. 45% of 80. Okay, so this is like the first time we were talking about. To do this problem, you need to change the 45% to a decimal. So 0.45, remember to go 2 decimal places. Of means times 80. And then you get a calculator or you do this by hand. I think I'm going to do it by hand since I don't have a calculator handy. 0.36. Okay, I think I'm getting 36. Now this is not necessarily $80, so we're just going to say 36. And a better answer would be 45% of 80 is 36, or 36 is 45% of 80. Does that seem about right? Well, half of 80 would be 40, so yeah, that seems pretty good. Okay, let's go to the next one, B. 7.5% of what amount, so this is the part I don't know, is $1.95. Okay, so they give me 75.5% of something. We don't know what. We're going to put n in there, and it's going to equal $1.95. I think I will get a calculator. It's handy. All right, you can play along if you have a calculator handy. All right, so change the percentage to a number, 0.075 of n equals $1.95. And actually, it's just 1.95. I'm not writing the dollar symbol right now. Okay, in the end, we'll figure that out. So maybe this is tax. The tax was like $1.95. So how much did the person spend before tax? Okay. The nice thing about doing it this way is you can just, the equation's right there for you to solve. We're going to divide by 0.075. And now I am going to pull out my trusty calculator. I'll go 1.95 divided by 0.075. 26. So what is the amount? It says 75. What amount? Okay, the amount is $26. So if you spent $26 and your tax rate was 7.5%, you'd pay $1.95 in tax. Okay. Seems reasonable. You can kind of think, well, if it were 10%, it'd be $2.60. Okay. Part C, 110, that's the way this is typed, but 110 is what percent? I'm going to use P for percent. Now there's a reason for that. In the end, I have to, I'll get a number, but I'm going to have to change it to a percent. So by using the P instead of the N, it'll help remind me to change it to a percent. Okay, so 110 is, that was the equal sign, what percent, that's what we don't know, of So times 88. This is times 88. So you probably want to see it 110 equals 88p. And then we're just going to divide both sides by 88. So sometimes on these problems, students are like playing around on their calculator trying to figure them out. But it really just helps to set up the equation, and then you know exactly what you're either dividing or multiplying by. Okay, so I am going to pull out my calculator and do a division here. 110 divided by 88. And I got 1.25. 1.25. But that's not going to be the answer, because my answer I'm looking for is a percent. So I need to move that decimal 2 places to the right. So 125%. That's going to be the answer. Now, does that make sense? 110 is what percent of 88? Well, it's got to be more than 100, because 100% of 88 would be 88. So it's got to be more than that. So yeah, I like the looks of the 125. It takes a little while to get used to the percentage problems, but practice them. They're kind of fun because there's only those 3 parts to each equation. Okay, so we'll do something else. Okay, 1 serving of wheat square cereal has 7 grams of fiber, which is 28% of the recommended daily amount. What's the total recommended daily amount of fiber? Okay, so recommended daily amount, I'll use a capital R. So 28% of the recommended daily amount of fiber, that equals 7 grams. Okay, so I think that makes sense to me. 1 serving has 7 grams, and that 7 grams is 28% of the recommended daily. I kind of switched it. I probably should have put 7 equals 28% of R, but that's okay. All right, now we got to clean this up a little bit, make it an equation we can work with. 0.28, change the percent to a decimal number, of or times R equals 7. Now that tells me what I'm going to have to do as far as the operation goes. I'm going to have to divide by 0.28. We'll find out how much fiber we're supposed to have every day. Okay, so R equals, and again, I'm just going to pull my calculator out so I don't waste time doing the long division in the video. And I just put that in. I get 25. So the RDA, the recommended daily amount of fiber, is 25 grams. Mitzi received some gourmet brownies as a gift. The wrapper said each brownie was 480 calories and had 240 calories from fat. What percent of the total calories in each brownie comes from fat? So what percent, I'm looking for a percent of the total calories in each brownie comes from fat. So it's going to equal fat calories. Okay, so what percent of, meaning times, I know the total calories, that was 480. And I know the calories from fat, 240. So it looks like that. You might have a different way of setting this up, but this is one way you could set it up. So I divide both sides by 480. I didn't even switch it around the other one. So the percent, that looks like 50, or well, I should, it's going to be 0.5. It is a decimal. But you could do that on a calculator. I could double check that real quick on my calculator. Yep, 0.5. But that's the not, you know, we want it to be a percentage, so we need to change it to a percentage. So 50% of the calories in that brownie came from fat. Okay, that's it.